Hi, this is Reverend Bill Banuchi, the Executive Director of the New York State Faith and Freedom Coalition. As we observed Pentecost Sunday this past week, we did so while the nation is experiencing serious attacks from the invisible enemy, the coronavirus, and by a visible enemy, provoking rioting in cities throughout the nation. Both of these are instruments of Satan to steal, to kill, and to destroy. Particularly the redemptive work of God in this nation, as God is restoring our nation to be once again that city upon a hill, that nation to which other nations can look to see what God can do in a country whose motto is, "In God we trust," and who live up to the creed of that motto. And where is the church? We've been hearing over and over again that phrase, "a new normal." Well, I contend that the church needs to reject that moniker and adopt a new one, a new super normal. You see, Pentecost Sunday celebrates the day the church was born by the release of the Holy Spirit that empowered the apostles to supernaturally change the world, challenging godless religions and advancing the truth about the Creator and the Redeemer of all mankind. This Pentecost must call for a rebirth of His church, a re-empowerment of the Spirit of God to demolish the lies of godless secular humanism that have taken control of the institutions in this nation, including the church. Now understand this, Satan was well on his way to bringing this nation to its knees by controlling our major institutions, by infiltrating them and taking dominance in them, until Donald J. Trump was elected to the presidency and declared publicly and repeatedly that in this nation, we don't worship government, we worship God. He not only put a stop to the drift away from our biblical roots, but he intentionally pointed us back to the principles of liberty and opened the way for the church to resume its militant march forward to establish the rule of God over our land as expressed in our founding documents. Evil men and women have tried to do everything possible to remove him from office since then. They're being used as ignorant puppets by demonic forces to prevent this nation from returning to our godly foundation. Stalin referred to these people as useful idiots, and so they are. And where is the church? Now we're seeing riots breaking out throughout the nation, sparked by the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis by a Minneapolis policeman, a spark that set a nation ablaze because demonic forces have taken advantage of a legitimate concern that may or may not have been a factor in Mr. Floyd's death. To assume that it was a racist issue just because it was a white man who killed a black man without further information is in itself a racist judgment. It was reported that both of them actually worked at the same restaurant as security people. Perhaps there was a personal feud between the two, and maybe this was a personal vendetta. I don't know. No one knows until the facts are in. But nevertheless, cities are burning. And George Soros is smiling because he's one of Satan's generals being used to organize and finance the demise of this republic. And where is the church? Oh, you say, that's not our business, other than maybe praying for the situation. Since when did his commission to us exempt government and politics from his reign upon the earth? God help us to reject the lie that the two things that you don't talk about are religion and politics. I mean, after all, what are the two most important things impacting the lives of the people that we say we care about? But religion and politics. So let's put that lie to rest with the truth that Jesus is Lord of all, including and especially our religion and our politics. In this new supernormal, we must see beyond the natural into the spiritual, from God's perspective, which should be our own. There is no distinction It's all his. There is no distinction between the natural and the spiritual. It's all one in God. It's all part of his creation and part of that part of the creation that he has entrusted to us. While demonic puppeteers are ruling through fear, we must overcome with wisdom and faith. While most Americans are giving in to blind acquiescence, we must seek God's will and move in obedience. While American Christians settle for a peaceful, powerless church, we must insist on a spirit-led, spirit-filled, powerful church that will lead and not simply go along to get along. While all declare a new normal, we must pray like it all depends on God and work like it all depends on us until we see a new super normal. Pastors must lead the way or get out of the way. This is no time for cowardice or weakness. We need men and women who are strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Pastors must use their pulpits to teach and preach the elements of faithful stewardship of liberty. And as we approach particularly the elections of 2020, they must unashamedly stand for the sanctity of life, for biblical marriage, and for religious liberties. And they must teach their people to vote for those candidates at every level of government who will support God's agenda for this exceptional nation that he's entrusted to us. It's not about being political. It's about being biblical. Pastors who will shrink in fear and refuse to teach the full gospel simply prove to be unworthy of the calling on their lives, if in fact they were called in the first place. It will take a miracle to change things, you say, especially here in New York. Absolutely. That's why we serve a God who performs miracles today, so that our children and our grandchildren will witness his mighty works and put their trust in him. Where is the church? We will have a spiritual revival and a national reformation when his church adopts the new super normal. He gave us the formula in 2 Chronicles 7:14, and to that cause, to the cause of Christ, we owe our very lives. Let us not be found wanting. God, help us to be faithful. Where is the church? My friend, it's where you're standing. God bless.